Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ajay Patel Show. My name is Ajay Patel, your humble and gracious host, and my bad on being missing for a couple of weeks. At this point, I just have to get done with apologizing. I just have to release the episode, and I spent some time prepping today. And sometimes when I spend this much time prepping, I get more nervous. Like I start thinking like, oh shit, it has to go according to the script. It has to, things got to align and this and that. But then what also happens is the same time is like when I don't prep, I end up just blurbering a bunch of words and I end up lost in the sauce. But what I'm trying to do now to be a little bit more consistent from week to week is trying to get things a little bit more planned out in advance, right? So I can say, oh, next week we're going to talk about this. In 2 weeks, we're going to have this guest on. Just small things where this feels like an official thing, because for so long, I'm sure people were like, oh, how's your little podcast doing? And honestly, what's really scaring me right now is how I'm kind of out of breath from talking for 2 minutes. And it feels like a muscle that I had a little bit ago. And now I'm just trying to get more into the practice of things. So all that to say, how are you guys doing? How are you? How's your goals? How was your May? How was your Mother's Day? How was your Memorial Day? Memorial Day weekend. I didn't know people actually commemorate it by saying MDW. MDW. Hashtag MDW. Look at my feet by the pool. MDW. Oh, yo, look at me. I'm using a grill. MDW. Check me out. I'm going shopping. MDW. I sometimes I surprise myself at how annoying I can be, but nonetheless, it is good to see you guys again. Well, I mean, virtually see you guys again. Good to speak to you guys again because I've been moving. I haven't just been, staying on the couch, just bumming around. I've been moving around a little bit. A decently busy schedule. And a couple of reasons that I've been somewhat, missing is we launched Kunal's Corner. It's been doing great. We just need to get some audio things fixed. On top of that, I went to the Beyonce concert. This happened like 3 weeks ago now at this point, but I still want to talk to you guys about it. There's a banner flying through the sky. I wonder what it says. But anyways, the Beyonce concert. Let's start there. She is the queen. She is the queen. And it was one of those things where after being so hyped up about the Taylor Swift concert, obviously I did not go, but hearing about the Eras tour and seeing the numbers it was doing and the traction it was getting. And, obviously we talked about it right here on the podcast where I was making the bold claim of like, is she Michael Jackson? And with Beyonce, she's one of those stars, right? She's one of the top 10 in my lifetime. Right? When it's all said and done, and I'm looking back at the 10 stars that were probably the biggest influence, maybe not influence, right? But just the biggest stars when it comes to performing, singing, dancing, the entertainment aspect in totality. Beyonce's in the top 10. So when it came to this, and honestly, in a future episode, we should go through who those 10 are right now. If we did a quick list right now, let's just do it right now. Let's put T Swizzy in there. T Swizzy, and this is in no particular order. So I don't want people thinking I'm this big of a T Swizzy fan. T Swizzy, Beyonce, Drake, Wayne. I'm going to hold off on saying Kendrick Lamar until I get through some better names. Travis Scott. I'm not the biggest fan of his discography, but it seems like one of his concerts are something of a certain magnitude that people will talk about. So that's 5 right there. Another 5. Kanye West, as much as y'all want to hate him or love him, is still one of those iconic artists. Damn, this is where it starts getting a little shaky with the last 4. The last 4 starts getting shaky. You think of someone like a Justin Bieber, a Justin Timberlake. I'm missing a lot of female artists, aren't I? But I don't want to sit here and just contemplate on this. Do we throw Jay-Z in there? Damn, are we only at 7? Okay, I'm going to table that and come back to it. Nonetheless, the reason I wanted to go to this Beyonce concert is because she's one of those top 10. And when I get to the age or when I am in, I don't know how much longer she's going to be touring. So I bought these tickets while I was, doing all this wedding shopping, and the credit card was loose. Ooh, the credit card was loose, warmed up. And so I just went ahead and did it. Bought the tickets, and it caught us by surprise. Like the concert came up and it was like, oh shit, we got to go to this now. Like, do we really want to go? Do we really want to get in a car, drive to Inglewood, park the car, go to a concert, pay for some nachos, and then come home? Like it's a big lift for an artist that we don't really care about that much, honestly. Like, it's not like I'm playing Beyonce on my iPod. Now, 3 things I want to cover. First thing being the ticket prices. For those, she's still touring, obviously. And for those that are looking to buy tickets, just wait till the last minute. I bought my tickets probably during the pre-sale for $150 each for maybe mid-level nosebleeds. So I like always being in the front of some of the nosebleed sections. So then it's like, all right, there's no one in front of me. I can hang out, have a good time, and still not be, trying to figure out how to view her in a decent setting. By the time showtime came, $150 would have bought you some floor seats. There's, we've talked about the whole monopoly of Ticketmaster and how they have a whole grasp on the industry. And it's like, the bubble is starting to pop a little bit. Like all the people think that they can get rich off of these resale tickets. And most of the time you can. I've made a decent amount of money off of reselling tickets, whether it was Chris Brown tickets, Drake tickets, NBA tickets. And now one thing is for sure, a reseller like me, as much as it's frowned upon to resell tickets, and I don't like it either, but I was a season ticket holder and I wanted to do it. We get super nervous at the last minute. Boy, those ticket prices drop. They drop drastically. So for those that are looking to go to either this concert, I know Kendrick Lamar's touring, Chris Brown's touring, shout out, Chris Breezy. Just wait till the last minute. I honestly just advise, just wait till the last minute to buy these tickets. The second point I wanted to talk about was the set list. I'm not going to lie, y'all. I knew maybe 2.5 songs of about the 12 songs we witnessed. We left early, but we'll get to that in a second. This was mainly all songs from her Cowboy Carter album. And obviously it's like, well, duh, the tour is called Cowboy Carter. But I thought, we would sprinkle in some Crazy in Love, Irresistible, maybe some, what's the surprise album with all the Partition, Drunk in Love. You know what I'm saying? I thought we'd get a little even mix of all this stuff. But boy, honestly, it started getting a little embarrassing. Ish and I were there and, we were vibing out, right? We show up, we pay low premium for the parking so we don't have to do all that, the hike from whatever parking lot to the stadium. We get there, we're chilling. We're chilling. We grab some nachos, some chicken tendies. We get in our seats, we're chilling, we're having a good time. But then to a certain point, it's like, bro, I don't know any of these songs. People around us standing up, singing, going crazy. And the production was great. Great production. I didn't think the sound was the best in an arena full of glass. But people were saying that when T Swizzy did it, it was much better. But we're not getting into a comparison game right now. The show itself was nice. But when you start talking about like, can I have a good time without recognizing more than half of the songs? And half is being generous. Maybe 30%. That was when it became a bit more of a struggle. And the thing that killed me the most is she did multiple nights in Inglewood. So the SoFi Stadium, maybe about 20 minutes south of the LAX airport, just to give you some relativity of where it is in LA. Apparently, from night to night, she did different set lists. So the other night that we did not go to, that was a bit more of the nostalgic set list. And I do wonder if it's like she's getting live feedback of like, hey, on night 1, this is what people's thoughts were. Do you want to add this? Do you want to do that? And I didn't think that was possible. I understand changing out 1 or 2 songs, but You're talking about a performer that has background dancers, a whole production. She's dancing, her daughter's dancing, her other daughter's on stage. This is a whole production. I mean, this is a lot of choreography going on. So to switch from set 1 to set 2 on different nights, this seems a bit drastic. But apparently it is so. That's why she's one of the top 10. So I do kind of wish we ended up on that second night with that different set list, but it is what it is. Point number 3. For anyone talking shit about Blue Ivy, it is so awesome to see when the nepotism works right. You know? Like when an amazing actor, an amazing actress, amazing music artist, whatever it may be, their child is actually talented in the art form. And how could Blue Ivy not be? Right? Like, I understand people have given her some shit from maybe looking a little bit uncoordinated on stage or maybe a little bit lost. But imagine if you go on stage at the age of 13, right? Some of y'all were performing, at India Night. That's what I was doing. India Night. That's maybe 1,000 people at max. Let's push it, right? 2,000. That can maybe get your nerves up a little bit. But when you have the Beyonce audiences and people are staring at you to be little Beyonce, that's a crazy amount of pressure. Like, let's be real. That is a child up there. Now I have no idea how old she is, right? 18, 19. But I don't know. But she was killing it. Where that was the one thing that Isha and I took away. Where we were looking at each other like, damn, bro, she's so talented. And I don't know what the future looks like. Is she just doing this for fun? Because that's pretty cool. Like, maybe she wants to go be a doctor or something else. And she's just like, oh, yeah, in the spare time, I learn all this choreography. I go on stage. And, it's what just keeps me in shape. It's my cardio. So that's my third point. We will not tolerate any Blue Ivy hate. Now, getting off the Beyonce point, shortly after that, it just became a lot of juggling things at work, getting chewed out at work. And I was surprised at how I'd let work pressure kind of start altering my day to day. But at the same time, it feels like this level of responsibility of when I used to get in trouble at work in the past, it's like, that kind of sucks. I'll push it a little bit and then we're good. But when you kind of feel like this responsibility of post-marriage and, okay, I got to start planning for the future. What, we got to buy this $1 million mansion. I want to have a lifestyle where, in 2 years, 5 years time, we have some kids. Isha's not working and she can pursue whatever she wants. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do that brings in $1 million, $5 million? So anytime the money-making machine starts getting a little rocky at this point in life, it becomes a lot more serious, in my opinion. And so for these past couple of weeks when I was kind of lacking on the episodes and I was getting a little bit of trouble, it was just like, damn, bro, do I just need to turn it up? Do I actually need to just put in more hours? Do I need to just go a little bit faster, go a little bit harder? Because, I do get it. If you work at a startup, if you work at something that's a bit more like the machine's moving fast, you do have to work like that. But when you work at some of these big companies where, like, if they had just removed you, if they remove your boss, if they remove all your peers, the company will still be fine. That's where sometimes I start having a quarrel of like, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. I hope we all at this table understand we are just a tax write-off for this company. They don't really care what we do. They don't want us to do anything foul or anything harmful to the brand or the name. But they don't care what we do. So when you start getting chewed out, it's like, yo. But at the same time, this person controls your fate. Controls your money, controls your food. So you got to step it up. Fresh off of the blender, we went to London for work. And by we, I mean I had some stuff there. And we were just like, Isha, let's just go to London. We're a big fan. I don't know if I've said it on this podcast before, but we went to London for work. And we like to always hop over to another little European destination when we're already on that side of the world. Last time it was Paris. I think before that we might have done Italy. Oh no, Italy was separate. So last time we did Paris. This time it was between Amsterdam, Marrakesh, and then Portugal. So let me slow down a little bit. I go home for Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And then from there, fresh off, we fly out to London. Now, my first note on London. I'm a big fan. I don't know what it is. Year after year, I've become a bigger and bigger fan of London, where I'm at the point now where if you said, hey, we got this house set up for you, your wife can move on over, you'll both have decent jobs, it's a nice little neighborhood, there's a pub down the street, some fish and chips around the block, subway stops, not subway stop, the underground is 2 blocks down, would you move there? It would be, it'd be like, It wouldn't just be like a quick, I think if you asked me that 2 years ago, I'd be like, hell no, I'm staying in this country, greatest country in the world. And it is. But I've gotten to the point where, when you're in London, you have these kind of New York vibes, right? You have these New York vibes of people are moving. There's this electricity in the air. And I'm talking central London. I'm not talking, the outskirts and where people are just on a little piece of land by themselves. Central London. Now, I understand it'd be quite a heavy toll to live central, same way it is in New York, right? Everything you know about New York, that translates exactly over to London. Now, like I've said, New York is the greatest city in the world, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. But London, very similar, just a lot more Indian people. And I always think about this, and I do want to save this for a future podcast, of this idea that our parents came here, right? Whether it was from London, whether it was from India, whatever country they came from, maybe it was Africa. Something has happened where this gravity of like the American dream has changed so much. Like if there was a bar from 0 to 200% and the American dream is at 100%, everything over that 100% starts becoming territories of discomfort. Okay, both parents are working. Both parents are, kind of living this lifestyle. Okay, now they're both making 6 figures. Okay, now they got to get a bigger house. Okay, now they have a one kid. Okay, now they have another kid. Okay, well, healthcare ain't cheap. Okay, now we got to get a bigger house because, each kid needs to have their own room. They need to have a playroom. They need to have we need to have an office for ourselves. We want to have a bigger kitchen. We have to have the skylight. Oh my gosh, now we need a pool in the backyard. Where does this shit stop? Okay, we got to travel. This person's getting married. Oh, where? Oh, in India. Okay, how much is that flight? $2,500? Oh, okay, well, I can't go by myself. We both got to go. Oh, well, shit. First class upgrade is just another $1,000. Should we do that? Okay, yeah. Right? So that's where we start talking about the 120% onward, where we've gotten to this American dream and now we've just far exceeded it. The American dream was to live nice, right? One person becomes a doctor, one person's raising the kids, and you're living good. You don't have to deal with all this nonsense of, oh, hey, you know what? I kind of like what Trump did on, what did you just say about him? That nonsense didn't exist before. You could have supported whoever candidate. You could have supported whatever country. Now it's just this level of scrutiny and anger. And it's become a lot. It's become quite tolling just to talk to people, just to hear people talk. And I've like I've said on this podcast, where I've just gotten fed up. I've gotten exhausted. I'm tired of it. Okay, you support that person? Cool. You want to ask me? No, I'm good. I don't even feel like sharing. Because you may have a certain perception of me right now, and I don't want that to change just based on some nonsense you read online. So I'm good. So this idea of, I'm so exhausted of striving for more. And I do enjoy it, right? I do think this is something that you should have, right? You should strive for more. To a certain extent, though, you have to enjoy life. So does that mean we need to go back to where we came from? Might be a frowned upon statement, but it's not ridiculous. I listen to Scott Galloway a lot. Scott Galloway, and he's an author, a tech mogul. Mogul? I don't know. He has a podcast. I'm a fan of him. Dry white dude, does edibles, rich, family lives in Europe, and he always talks about, the hack to live in a very lavish life is to make an American salary but live in a different country. So you make an American salary and you live in a Lisbon. You live in a city. You live in a Portugal. You live in a London. You live in India, right? But you have that American salary. So you're living good. You're not waking up to do the dishes or the laundry. You got someone for that. You got someone for everything. Tax season. Yo. Hello? Yeah, I need you to do these taxes. All right, cool. Bye. It's that easy. It's that easy over there. Give me a sip while I sip this. Give me a second while I sip this coffee. It's that easy over there. And when I think about London, I just think about this electricity in the air, and I just think about just being kind of carefree. And I don't know if I'm mixing that up with vacation. Or I don't know if I'm mixing that up with, okay, well, I'm just in a different environment. I'm enjoying it because it's different from my current day to day. Do I think there's a future there? Kinda. Isha's someone that's always wanted to move there. She lived there when we first started dating. Well, not technically, but the plan was for her to go back. And I was like, well, shit. This relationship lasted all of 2 months. And she was always trying to make this like sales pitch. No, not really. But she always was an advocate for this stuff. Like, okay, you got to live in London. It's so much better, this and that. And I'm anti, right? I've told y'all this before. I am on the American bandwagon, the American dream, greatest country in the world. And like I said, I still do believe it. But man, my belief is wavering from time to time. So we go to London, have a good time, have a pint or two. It was fun kind of just mingling with coworkers there because it's like this short-term relationship, right? I get to show up, have fun with some people. Every day after work, it's a culture to go to that third place, which has completely disappeared here. Mainly because you have to drive everywhere, right? You can't go to a happy hour after work and then be like, all right, now that we all had 3-4 beers, talk some shit about everyone at this table. We can't just hop in our car and go back home, right? That's how you go to jail. In London, you just hop on the tube. Everyone is there. People of the whole, right? You'll have an associate level there with like a director level there. Everyone is at the pub afterwards. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It is so awesome to just be walking around and seeing all of these companies just slowly go from their office to the bar by 5 o'clock. They go home maybe an hour later, whatever it is, people slowly trickle home. Everyone's taking the tube, whatever it is. I'm saying whatever it is a lot. But anyways, I like the culture of the third place. And in somewhere like LA, unless you live like right downstairs from a bar or two, it's tough to have that. From London, we go over to Lisbon. Before we go to Lisbon, while we were in London, they locked up Chris Brown. So I thought, should I go bail him out? What's happening? Why are they locking up the GOAT? So let me just give y'all a quick recap because I'm sure you guys are reading and seeing a lot of things online about what happened with him being locked up. So Chris Brown was recently detained in the UK in connection of an assault that occurred in 2023. He was arrested in Manchester on May 15th upon returning to the country for his upcoming tour. The arrest stems from an incident at London's Tape nightclub where Brown is accused of attacking music producer Abe Dial with a bottle of Don Julio 1942 tequila, resulting in serious injuries. Now, that is a very expensive bottle to use to attack someone. I just want to put that out there. Initially denied bail, Brown was held up at Forest Bank in Salford during his time there. Fellow inmates reportedly offered him protection, and he expressed gratitude by performing for them and writing thank you notes. Ain't that wild? Imagine you just locked up for murdering someone, And then someone walks in and it's Chris Brown. And you say, hey, man, you know what? I got your back in here. And he says, is your man on the floor? If he ain't, like that's a good feeling. Like imagine the day that R. Kelly showed up to prison. Right? It's a pretty good feeling. You think, oh, my life's horrible, this and that. And then one of the biggest music artists walks into the room. Anyways, the alleged victim has filed a civil lawsuit seeking $16 million in damages, citing permanent injuries and emotional distress resulting from the incident. $16 million is wild. But, obviously that'll probably end up at like $4 million and then everyone walks away. In the wake of these events, fellow artists, So a bail was initially set and denied, and then I think he got out recently. Oh, okay. On May 21st, he was granted bail set at £5 million, which is about $6.7 million, allowing him to proceed with Breezy Bowl 20 World Tour, which is set to begin on June 8th in Amsterdam. The case adds to Brown's history of legal issues, including his 2009. Don't worry about all that. But for y'all getting all riled up, like he beat someone up recently in the UK, it didn't happen. Okay, he beat up a guy. I thought that's what we wanted. I thought we wanted a guy versus a guy. So like, who cares? I think it adds to the theater, to the production. I hope when he shows up in Inglewood, California, and I go to the tour, it starts with Akon locked up, and then he comes out from the sky. Am I getting carried away here? Anyways, after visiting him there, we went to Lisbon. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Lisbon. A fun place, especially if you're in a party and drinking, just like a nice little vacation. We didn't really go to the beach because it's like, all right, we've had enough beach recently. We obviously have the beaches here in California. We went to Hawaii recently. So I was like, all right, enough, no beach. I just want city stuff. I just want to see the Lisbon food, the culture, just hang around here. Now, there is one thing strange. There were too many places highly rated. Every restaurant, every bar you look at, whether you found it on TikTok or just someone told you about it, 4.7, 4.8, 4.9. Now, my bar for like, oh shit, this place is pretty good, is a 4.5, right? Anything below that, I start questioning like, maybe we can find something better. You looking for pizza around here? You see a 4.4? All right. Is that the best we can get? If it's a 4.5 or above, done. The decision is done. Yes, I understand the number of reviews matters in that equation, but shh, don't worry about that right now. A lot of the places you look up there, easily all 4.7s, 4.8s, 4.9. It was just like, there has to be a scam going on here. There's no way this many places are this highly reviewed, right? Someone has to be taking the shit. Oh, yo, this thing's going by. This banner's going by. California, choose chill Coors Light. California's fucking shit show, man. What the fuck was I talking about? Highly rated places. So I think there's a scam going on. We went to this place called Gurkha something for Indian food. Yeah, I know. We keep having Indian food in all these places we go to. Probably the worst chicken tikka masala I've ever had in my life. Truly. And someone needs to tell my European brothers and sisters that you're supposed to have the naan with the sauce. People are there having it as an appetizer. I don't understand. They're literally picking it up like pizza and just eating the naan like bread. I mean, it is bread, right? But yo, you're supposed to dip. You're supposed to dip. Let me tell y'all how to eat chicken tikka masala like a pro. You get the bowl, you get the rice, right? First, you start with ripping a piece of garlic naan, dip it in. That's how you get the initial, okay, here we go. This is what we're doing. Then you put the chicken tikka masala on a plate, a little bit of rice next to it. You don't mix it all up. Don't be a heathen like that. Then you get your fork. You start going through a couple of bits of the chicken, a little bit of the rice. You're eating the chicken and the rice. Then you get to the naan again. You get to the naan and you clean that plate. All the sauce, all of it. That's one piece of naan. Okay. Now you go for round 2. You do the exact same thing. Dip, get the palate right. All right, back on the plate. And you know, you can add a little bit of onions, a little bit of green chilies. Do what you got to do. Have a Coca-Cola with it. Don't do a Kingfisher. Don't do a beer. It's weird. Just have a Coca-Cola with it. It's the perfect pairing beverage. Don't have a mango lassi. That's weird. What has this podcast turned into? If it sounds like I abruptly cut from something, it's because I was blabbing about Lisbon for a little bit, and I have actual topics to talk about, and I wanted to keep it short. I don't want to keep having these podcasts over an hour and no one's listening to them. Now then, all that to say, I did some travel. I was very happy to be home. I almost cried. Just because of the journey of like, okay, one flight, an Uber, another flight, and you're half asleep, you're eating like shit, you're constipated, like there's a lot of stuff. But I was very happy to be home. Now, with that being said, allow me to shit on my house for a little bit. Not this house. Just ignore the dead plant in the back. The end is near for this California journey. Now, when I say that, I mean Central LA specifically. Central LA is 100% coming to an end this August. We just put in our end of lease, and at first I didn't know it's like I really do like this place. I like the balcony. I like the relativity to going to restaurants, walking around. I like this location, the proximity to the airport. But it's gotten to be a lot. And I also think we're just kind of outgrowing this whole 1-bedroom thing. We have a whole storage unit full of shit. I have to record out here at Isha's desk. Isha has to also use this as her sewing studio. So it becomes a lot of just like, we need some more space. Now, I kind of joked about it earlier of like the whole London lifestyle, and America turns you into this 120 to a 200% person where you're doing more. Okay, we need more space. We need to do more, right? But we're trying to figure out this new balance of, okay, maybe we live in somewhere not as lavish, but at least we have a second bedroom now. What do we do? What's the next move? We've gone through the marriage. The marriage is behind us now. Well, we got through the wedding. The wedding's behind us now. Now, as we start plotting these next couple of years, where do we go? Where do we land? And California's been decent, right? California's been good. Obviously, there's been a lot of travel we've had to do with keeping up with friends and family. But starting with the cost, right? It's very expensive to live here. And I'm not just talking about the rent. And I understand people be like, well, you could meal prep and you could save by not traveling. So, doing that. And it's like, I've become too bougie. I like nice things. People got mad at Trump for accepting that private jet from the whatever country. I would have welcomed it with open arms as well. You don't say no to nice things. I like a little lavish. I do. I call this our box in the sky. A lot of people will probably go their whole life without living in a box in the sky. I understand it's come at an expense, right? I probably don't have as much savings as other people. I probably don't have as much invested as other people. But like I've said, one thing I like to invest in is just life. I like to do the little first class thing here and there. If I'm going somewhere, I'm having a drink. I'm not pinching pennies. It's just not I just don't want to live like that. Do I think having a secure future is important? Sure. You should make money. You should spend money. That's all it is. You should make money. You should spend money. Now, focusing on California, everything may be expensive, but the weather is also the best. The weather is the best in the world. And because of how dry it is and the proximity to a desert, you don't get any bugs. You get a little swarm of spiders now and then, but there's no bugs out here. You can walk outside. You can leave your door open. You can do whatever. It's the best weather in the world. But it does come at a cost. You'll see the most attractive people in the world here. But you may offend them by saying yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. It's just what it is. On top of the most attractive people in the world, you have a lot of homelessness. And even as I was going for my walk this morning, I do a little loop around the block, maybe about 2 miles. And I saw probably about 4 people asleep on the street. One person under a bridge, one person by another little alley. And it's just like, is this normal? Like, should I just be walking past this like, oh yeah, that's that dude. Oh yeah, that's normal. I don't want this to be normal. I understand every city has their fair share of homeless people, and my proximity to a rail station, whatever it's a metro, breeds more homeless traffic than not being near one. But it's become too normal now. And the city doesn't really care. The city likes to, do this whole song and dance and be like, oh, look, Trump's adding more homeless people to the street. And it's like, no, he's not. No, he's not. This city doesn't make any sense. You can get a 2-bedroom, for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house here is probably $1 million. I can understand how someone ends up homeless. I can understand how someone ends up homeless and then they have a little drug addiction. And the next thing you know, then what? How do you bounce back? People say, oh, you just got to give them jobs. These people are zombies out here, bro. These people are zombies. They're not real people. On this street right here, you'll just see someone walking naked. One time I walked to a McDonald's right there. I walked to the McDonald's right there and someone was just butt naked, getting undressed in front of the McDonald's. Now, I didn't, obviously, that's someone that was brought up as mind your own business, as a lot of this generation is not. I ordered my McChicken, small fries, large Coke, maybe a 10-piece nugget on the side. I minded my business, but it's like I didn't want to see this person getting naked while I was ordering. And it's not normal, right? This is not normal things. But the city doesn't care. City does not care. If you were to own a small business in California, right? Let's say you own a little restaurant, maybe a little hairdressing studio, maybe a little donut shop. And there's homeless people outside. And maybe they're coming into the store and you got to spend some effort training your employees like, hey, this is how you deal with homeless people. Wait, what do you mean homeless people? They come into the store. Yeah, and you got to do this and that. We've slowly made progress of saying, hey, they can't just walk in and take shit. But this is how you have to deal with them. And there's a lot of TikToks going around that I have found quite hilarious of store owners are now putting speakers outside of their establishments and then just blasting like Baby Shark all day, all night. So then people that are setting up encampments outside of their stores are now deterred from staying there. Yes, this is real life. I'm telling you, this is in the City of Angels. This is Hollywood at the end of the day. Now let's touch on that point, right? We keep talking about the most attractive people in the world. Hollywood has also started to kind of migrate away. A lot of the big films aren't necessarily produced here anymore. They're often produced overseas, mainly because of costs. When you get a film, right? When you get a film and you're greenlit for a budget, where you film matters drastically. Whether it's a movie or TV show, TV shows, as you probably well know, often go underwater quite fast because they burn through a budget. Like a show like Winning Time, right? The come up of the Lakers in the 80s, whatever it was. That had to quickly get canceled because of how much it was just burning through its budget. A lot of these shows and movies that are being produced here, they even openly talk about like, yeah, we're just going to move production to Ontario. We're going to move production to Seattle or somewhere else because it's just so much cheaper to film there. You already see the entire comedy scene moving from an LA to Austin. Now, the migration of Californians going to Austin is already well talked about. We don't need to cover that. But there's this thing happening of like, man, why has this state failed this weather? This is quite literally the best weather in the world. You get this beautiful beach, amazing homes and hills and mountains all within a grasp. And there's just all this shit on top of it. Whether it's, literal shit or all this other stuff, right? Let's get this law passed to do this for the people. Well, you got to go through these 5 regulations and then you got to go through this board. And next thing you know, it's 4 years later and nothing's changed. Everyone talks about, oh, the Olympics are coming, so things must get better soon. I don't know. I don't think so. I think when the Olympics comes, it'll just be a grand cover up, right? For those that they need to host and move around through, public transportation, they'll do it. But after that, wipe your hands. Wipe your hands. It's done. Yo, put that shit back to where it was. They're not going to change the city like that. Will it bring a big influx of business? Of course. Of course, the city will make its money at the end of the day. The house always wins, right? No matter how expensive LA gets, people will always come here. People will always migrate here, whether it's for a visit, whether it's to see the beaches, have a $20 Erewhon smoothie. Yo, I saw this $19 strawberry at Erewhon. I got to go try it, right? The city has that type of gravitational pull, sorry. So the house will always win. Now, I pulled up a little article. Hold up, I had some more stuff. I pulled up an article here and a quick summary for you guys, just to show you where, like, the California trajectory is going. California's population is growing again, but only because of immigration, not because people are staying. In 2024, the state grew by 0.6%, which is about 250,000 people, reaching 39.43 million, largely due to influxes of foreign workers like engineers and tech professionals. A notable example is the CTO who flew in from New Delhi and started working within hours of landing. California's tech economy is relying heavily on skilled immigrants to fill gaps in the workspace, especially as many residents leave the state due to high costs and quality of life issues. I agree. I it's exactly what I've been preaching here for, like a handful of months. This place is not sustainable. It doesn't make sense that every time you leave the house, money's coming out of your pocket. If you want to do anything, money is coming out of your pocket. And it adds up, right? We've talked about a night out, of how many costs go into that. And it sucks because I do like this place, right? I do like that I've gotten the chance to call LA my home. Obviously, when the city was burning down, it wasn't a great time. But this place doesn't make sense. And I don't think it's anywhere close to getting to a place where things are somewhat coherent, right? In Texas, people bitch and moan about like property taxes. But at the same time, you can at least get a property that's reasonable. Has the cost gone up in places like Austin still a little crazy? Yes. But here, man, I just can't even wrap my head around it. You pay millions of dollars to have this property. You're also putting money into the income tax, and that's not really changing anything. And so it's like, yo, what if your house is burning down? No one comes to help. What is happening? All that to say, more than likely, by 2026, maybe the last year in California, I do think from here we may move, to the Southern California area, whether it's Orange County, Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, just to, close out our time in California. And I've told people at work this, where it's like, yo, I'm here for less than 5. I'm here for less than 5. And then where to go? I don't know. Is it back to Texas? Is it Dallas? Is it Houston? Is it London? I don't know. Now then, on to the next topic, which is kind of, I saw it this morning on TikTok, and I was kind of just wondering why it was so popular. Alia Bhatts, right? Obviously, we know her. That's probably my favorite Indian actress right now. But I will say I was on the bandwagon before the whole movement happened. She wore a sari to Cannes Film Festival. Now, let me just read the headline and then we'll dive into it a little bit. Alia Bhatts made headlines by wearing a custom Gucci ensemble that sparked widespread discussion. Initially described by some as Gucci's first ever sari, the outfit was a shimmering 3-piece set featuring a plunging blouse, a high-waisted skirt, and a draped dupatta adorned with Swarovski crystals and an iconic GG whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Leading to debates about cultural representation and fashion terminology. Okay, so the first point, people are a little upset at her herself calling it a sari when it more resembles a lehenga. on top of that, this is kind of off of the tail end of the Shah Rukh Khan Met Gala wave, right? South Asians have been having this wave, right? Whether it's the Diljit movement or whatever has been happening. It always comes and goes, right? It's these influxes where it goes up, comes down. Priyanka Chopra brought it up back, and then it comes back down. Okay, Alia Bhatts doing it. Okay, now, like it comes and goes as it pleases. The Shah Rukh Khan thing, right? We didn't talk about it here, but he walks the Met Gala dressed in Sabyasachi. Okay, cool. All black suit. People are asking him who he is. It's like, yo, that's crazy, right? But at the same time, I get it, right? It is some of these teenagers that are doing interviews on the or on the Met Gala carpet. They may not know him. Is it their job to probably do the research? Yeah, sure. We can be angry at that. But he's a cool dude. I can't wait to have him on the podcast. He simply just said who he was and kept it going, kept a good energy. He could have been offended. He could have been like, do you have no idea who I am? But no, he's a cool dude. Can't wait to have him on the podcast. Now, this is off the tail end of that. So this motion of fashion and the Bollywood stars coming out into America and doing this and that. Now, obviously, Cannes Film Festival is I don't think it's in America. Now, here's my two biggest things. First of all, why Gucci? Gucci is, and for those that may not know this, I may put y'all on some game here. Gucci is the poor luxury, right? Like, as soon as you get a little money and you think, you know what, I want to wear designer, it's Gucci. Gucci is the lowest bar of high-end fashion. Now, the history, obviously, these high-end fashion brands, it's the history that makes the brand. It's the history that makes the name. So I don't think it'll ever go anywhere. Same thing with like Balenciaga, right? They had all that bad PR of having kids wearing, leather bands and strap-ons and all that stuff. Sorry, it got a little graphic there for a second, but people still support the brand. Sorry, not strap-on. Bondage attire, BDSM attire. But the brand survives. These brands survive. If you're a new name in the industry, right? Like, let's say you're a what's a name that's been popping? Let's say you're Sabyasachi. Sabyasachi, he hasn't been around for that long. The fact that the designer is still alive shows that you haven't been around for that long. Someone like Sabyasachi cannot make a mistake like that in the public eye. But for these brands that have been around for ages, you live through whatever. And for something like Gucci, like I said, it is quite literally the lowest bar into the high-end fashion world. So if you're Alia Bhatt and you're probably the biggest Bollywood actress right now, why? Okay, silly question, right? Well, it's money, right? More than likely, she was dished a couple mil to wear this sari/dupatta, or sari/lenga. But like, you don't need that money, My biggest thing is like, you have so much influence that you can wear whomever. You can put another big Indian artist on, right? This is my biggest problem is when these stars get a little preachy on like, yeah, I support all these small, I support these medium level influence, like these medium level brands or low level brands that are producing high level quality or content, whatever it is. And then when it comes to something where you have the most eyes on you, right? The Cannes Film Festival, Met, whatever it is. And then you wear the high-end brand. I understand. The money is what it does. Like, the money makes you do the things. And I probably won't be any better. When it's my time to walk the Cannes Film Festival and Gucci says, yo, we'll give you $5 million to wear this suit, I'm probably already naked by the time they are done saying $5 million. I get it. I don't hate it. But it's just like, damn. This could have been good. You could have worn whomever. And that brand would have popped like that overnight. So the whole kind of makeup of this Gucci ensemble, I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast, but when all those other stars were coming out wearing saris on the red carpet, and it was like, yo, be careful, because the next thing you know, these saris are going to cost $1,000 more than they currently do. And then what? Why kill the brand? Indian outfits are already getting more expensive as they are. They're already the most lavish, most hand detailed pieces of clothing you can get, right? An Indian outfit, it far surpasses anything of American culture. Let's be real. Whether it's a tuxedo, whether it's a white dress, it doesn't matter. So like, I just don't like this mashup of these Western high-end brands mixing into the world of Indian fashion. Anyways, last thing I want to talk about was good old New York. Now, I'm going to keep this short. It's on the topic of sports. But the New York Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers. Now, New York is a different breed of people. New York represents, I think, exactly what America is. The people that are busting their ass, filled with anger, rage, but at the end of the day, like they wake up and they know, all right, I got a job to do. I got to do this job for my people, for my town, whatever it is. I'm going to go do this job. I'm going to bust my ass. And then, you know what? I just want to watch a little bit of sports at the end of the day. I just want something to get excited about. And I've never gotten to watch a game at Madison Square Garden, and I'm probably not going anytime soon the way these ticket prices are. But to see something so electric, where after a win, the streets are filled with people and they're going crazy, and you just feel this sense of like, man, I kind of hope they do it. I think it just would be good for the country. I think it'd be good for the country. If the New York Knicks go on to win the NBA championship, I don't think there will be anything better for the country. For the country. The sense of happiness, where just not even just New York people will be happy, right? Because New York people will be happy. They'll beating their chest. They'll be talking shit. Yeah, we're New York, this and that. And it's like, cool. I'm so happy for you. When people say, I love that for you, that's how we would feel. That's how we would feel if the New York Knicks went on to win a championship. There would be this feeling in the air. The sun would come out. The taxes would go down. The interest rate would go down. There would be a certain elation in America if New York got a championship. It's probably not happening in football anytime soon. But now you see all these celebrities, right? Like, this is how it kind of was when the Lakers were in their prime, right? Before my era. The Knicks have not won a championship in my lifetime, and I don't even think my dad's lifetime. We're not New York Knicks fans. It doesn't matter. But sports is already something that's so capturing. It holds people for decades, maybe generations. And so you have this everlasting relationship. And so if you just give it this sense of, boom, here's your championship. The only, I was thinking about this, where it's like, what other organization could get a championship and it would have this type of feeling on America? And the only other team I could think of was the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I am strictly a Mavericks fan. I support the Cowboys when they're good. I'm a part-time Cowboys fan. Just when it's time to talk shit. But if the Cowboys were to win a championship, America would be right again. There would be no tariffs. All the countries would be getting along. There would be no free Palestine, the anti-Semitic. There would be nothing. Because the Cowboys, we would be back in a place of happiness. We would be back in a place of, man, this organization deserved it. But see, the Cowboys, probably right when I was born, they were in their prime. They won a handful of championships. So, it's like, okay, you guys were great once. The New York Knicks have never been something of like, oh, yeah, we got to talk about them. They've always been in that kind of floating conversation. Nah, we don't really think they can actually do it. So, man, I don't know what it is Jalen Brunson used to be on the Mavericks, whatever that whole storyline is. But I really want New York to win. Not for myself, but for the country. Next week, we'll be diving into some of the Harvard controversy that's been happening, along with this whole not getting taxed on tips. I find it very interesting because I think of some professions that come to mind when that could benefit them. With that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, watch some past episodes, watch this episode. We got to get back in the groove of things. We got to get back, you and I. I'll see you guys next week. Have a lovely week, and goodbye.